Welcome back my students, Dr. Uwe here, and today I bring you the part 2nd of the learning objective number 1st, that's pathway of the electrical excitation of the heart from chapter 32 of Guyton Physiology. No need to write anything, my handwritten notes are in the description of this video. This video is the continuation of the previous video. In the previous video, we studied that heart impulses are generated in sinoatrial node. Let us suppose this right here is a rough diagram of a heart. Clear? This is right atrium, this is left atrium, this is right ventricle, and this is left ventricle. Above the right atrium is a specialized cardiac tissue that's called a sinoatrial node. From the sinoatrial node, cardiac impulses arise and then they go to atrioventricular node. Below the right atrium is another structure that's called the atrioventricular node. So from sinoatrial node, impulses go to atrioventricular node. Clear? From atrioventricular node, impulses go to penetrating portion of AV bundle. What is this penetrating portion of AV bundle? This right here is atrial musculature. Clear? This is the left atrium and the right atrium, and this right here is the ventricular musculature, that is the right ventricle and the left ventricle. Between the two musculatures, atrial and ventricular musculatures, is atrioventricular fibrous tissue, that's an insulator. Clear? And this penetrating portion of AV bundle, it penetrates this atrioventricular fibrous tissue, so it penetrates it. Is that clear? Now from this penetrating portion of the AV bundle, the impulses go to distal portion of AV bundle. Is that clear? This part of conduction we studied in the previous video. Now we are going to continue our discussion further on. Clear? This is the rough diagram of the heart, and this part of the heart is called the apex of the heart, and this right here is the base of the heart. So this is the base and this is the base. Clear? Now from this distal portion of the AV bundle, this distal portion of the AV bundle, it goes towards apex. It goes towards apex about 5 to 15 millimeters. So from here the distal portion of AV bundle starts, it goes towards the apex about 5 to 15 millimeters. This is 5 to 15 millimeters. Clear? And this distal portion lies in ventricular septum. This is the left ventricle, this is the right ventricle. Between the two ventricles is the ventricular septum. So this distal portion of the AV bundle, it lies in the ventricular septum. Is that clear? Now moving on. I will make this ventricular musculature separately. Clear? So this is the ventricle, this is the left ventricle, this is the right ventricle. Clear? And this right here is the distal portion of the AV bundle. Clear? When this distal portion of the AV bundle goes towards the apex of the heart about 5 to 15 millimeters, it then divides into right and left bundle branches. It divides into right and left bundle branches. I will show you diagrammatically. So this is the distal portion of the AV bundle. It divides into right and the left bundle branches, and these are also known as right and left bundle branches can also be called Purkinje fibers. Purkinje fibers. Is that clear? These Purkinje fibers goes to base of heart. They go towards base of heart. Clear? This is the apex of heart, this is the base of heart. So from this diagram, this will be the apex of heart and these will be the base of heart. This is the base and this is the base of heart. Is that clear? This is a separate diagram. So these Purkinje fibers go towards the base of heart. Is that clear? And while going towards the base, they give small branches. They give small branches. So while going towards the base, they give small branches. Is that clear? And these Purkinje fibers, they lie in endocardium. These Purkinje fibers lie in endocardium. Now what does this endocardium mean? This is the ventricular musculature. It can be divided into three parts. This is the first part and this is the second and the third part. This is the first part, this is the second part, and this right here is the third part. This part is called endocardium, this part is called myocardium, and this part is called epicardium. Is that clear? So as you can see from the diagram, this Purkinje fiber, it lies in the endocardium. It lies in the endocardium of the heart. Is that clear? Now moving on. Now this is the right and the left bundle branch, also known as the Purkinje fibers. They go towards the base of the heart and they give small branches, and these branches are in close contact with the ventricular muscle cells. So this is the ventricular muscle cells. Now when the impulses comes, they go to Purkinje fiber, then they go to ends of Purkinje fiber. This is the ends of Purkinje fiber, and they then go to the ventricular muscle fibers or ventricular musculature. Then the impulses travel to ventricular muscle or ventricular muscle cells. Is that clear? So impulses are generated in SC node and they travel this pathway, and the impulses go to the ventricular muscle cells. Now we will talk about the timings. Clear? It takes 0.03 seconds for an impulse to go from right and left bundle branch to reach the ends of Purkinje fiber. So from the right and the left bundle branch, the impulses reaches the ends of the Purkinje fiber in 0.03 seconds. Is that clear? And it takes another 0.03 seconds for an impulse to go from ends of the Purkinje fiber to the epicardium. So this is the end of the Purkinje fiber. From there, the impulses go to the ventricular muscle cells and reach the epicardium. This is the epicardium. Clear? And it takes the impulses 0.03 seconds to go from here to here. Clear? To the ends, or we can say to go to epicardium. So it takes 0.03 seconds for an impulse to go from ends of Purkinje fiber to epicardium. Clear? Is that clear? Now moving on. Purkinje fiber starts as right and left bundle branches towards the base of the heart. Clear? The speed of impulse in Purkinje fiber is 1.5 to 4 meter per second. So the impulse travels in Purkinje fiber very fast, while as the speed of impulse in ventricular muscle cells, that is here in these cells. When the impulses come from right and left bundle branch, they go towards the end of Purkinje fiber, then the impulses are given to the first ventricular muscle cell, then to second ventricular muscle cell, then to third ventricular muscle cell, and so on and so forth. And the speed in these cells is 0.3 meter per second to 0.5 meter per second. Clear? So the speed is 0.3 meter per second to 0.5 meter per second. So you can infer from the statement that the speed in Purkinje fibers is almost 6 times the speed in ventricular muscle cells. Clear? So this is how the impulses are generated in SA node and how the impulses reach the apex and the base of the heart, so that all the ventricular musculature contract simultaneously for the effective pumping of the blood. Now there is last statement that we need to study. The speed in Purkinje fibers is very fast, that's 4 meter per second, while as the speed in ventricular muscle cells is only 0.3 or 0.5 meter per second. I will teach you this reason here. This is a cardiac muscle, histological diagram of a cardiac muscle, and you can see this right here is one cardiac muscle cell and this right here is another cardiac muscle cell. Between two cardiac muscle cells there is intercalated discs, a zigzag pattern. At these intercalated discs there are presence of gap junctions, and through these gap junctions one cell communicates with another cell. Clear? Here in the Purkinje fibers, the concentration of gap junctions is very much. There is a lot of gap junctions in the Purkinje fibers, while as in the ventricular muscle cells, the number of gap junctions are very small, very less. As a result, the speed in the Purkinje fibers is very much. Clear? Because the number of gap junctions is more. And there is one more reason that I will teach you here. So speed in Purkinje fibers is more because gap junctions are more. Speed in ventricular muscle cells is less because gap junctions are less. Clear? Another reason, these Purkinje fibers are large sized fibers, while as ventricular muscle cells are small sized cells. Clear? When the impulses has to travel, it has to travel 1 intercalated discus. Here when the impulse has to travel, it has to travel from 4 intercalated discus. Clear? So the speed will be less in ventricular muscle cells and the speed will be more in Purkinje fibers because of 2 reasons. Because Purkinje fibers are large sized fibers and there are more number of gap junctions between 2 cells. So this is the part second. I will show you diagrammatically from Guyton all what I taught you so far. This is the diagram of the heart. This is the right and the left bundle branch. This is the Purkinje fibers. They going towards the base of the heart. Clear? So that when the impulses start from here, it takes 0.06 seconds to reach the ventricular musculature, so that all the ventricular muscle contract simultaneously, resulting in the effective pumping of the blood. Thank you very much. Your Dr. Hugwe here. Keep revising, keep studying. All the best. Class dismissed.